Reporting. Tonight, one Northern California city is bankrupt, and a man you're about to meet predicts Los Angeles will be bankrupt very soon. In one city after another in California, we are losing police officers and firefighters. Parks and libraries are on the verge of being closing here. The math is really quite simple when you look at it. Our cities are simply spending more money than they're taking in. And tonight, California cities, in most of them, in many of them, they are spending way too much money on pensions.
One California man scaled new heights in city government, to that roof, and jumped. Drugs did not push him over the edge, neither did family strife. Many believe he took his life when he was told he could lose his city job. From sleepy suburbs and small cities, from San Francisco to Los Angeles, it seems almost inevitable, unavoidable, because the money is drying up.
You're predicting that Los Angeles will go bankrupt?
Yes.
From this investor and researcher in Los Angeles,
this is survival for cities,
to this city councilman in Costa Mesa.
We don't live within our means, and that's because we've gotten used to getting what we want when we want it, and it's got to change.
To the mayor of Vallejo. These cities and many more in California are running out of cash. Protests held by public employees in Wisconsin recently could soon become reality in the Golden State. Why the meltdown? In a word, pensions. The money cities are paying to their retired employees is breaking the bank. First stop, Vallejo. What's happening here in Vallejo is an extreme example of what's happening in cities all across California. Essentially, the housing bubble burst. According to Zillow.com, since May of 2006, the average price of a home here in Vallejo has fallen 63%.
The bubble burst here big time.
It really did.
When the housing bubble burst in Vallejo, property taxes dried up. The city declared bankruptcy. They laid off nearly 100 employees. Almost 40% of the police force was let go. City leaders here are struggling with how they will pay for pensions in the future. Mayor Osby Davis.
People are being laid off in major cities all around this state and this country. And all of a sudden saying, oh, this is really real. There is a problem with our pensions.
There certainly is a problem with pensions in San Francisco, according to a recent report by a Stanford researcher who studies pension reform. By 2016, San Francisco will be spending more money on pensions and retiree health care than they're spending for police, fire, the district attorney, and the public defender. Then there's Costa Mesa.
Did you ever think this could happen to you?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's devastating.
Helen Nenadal has worked for the city of Costa Mesa for some 30 years. She and dozens of her colleagues could soon be out of work. Here in the city of Costa Mesa, city leaders say their pension problems are so bad that they recently sent out layoff notices to 203 city workers. That's nearly half of the city workforce. And on the day those layoff notices went out, one city worker who got one of those notices went to the top of that building. It's City Hall. And he jumped 5 stories and took his own life. For Nenadal and her co-workers, there is a sense of loss and uncertainty, not knowing what tomorrow will bring.
For this to happen in a short period of time, it's devastating.
Costa Mesa city leaders say pensions are simply costing too much. City Councilman Stephen Menzinger.
Frankly, we can't continue to spend the amount of money we've spent in the past.
It's a money problem.
It's a money issue. It's pure math.
Menzinger says 5 years ago, the city was paying $5 million a year for city workers' pensions. He says today they're paying $18 million. And in 5 years, he says, they'll be paying up to $25 million a year for pensions. That's 25% of the entire budget.
What are these pensions for public employees doing to the city of Los Angeles?
They are putting the city on the road to bankruptcy.
Alex Rybalkova is an investor. He's been studying the Los Angeles pension problem for 5 years, along with former LA Mayor Richard Riordan. Rybalkova has predicted LA will declare bankruptcy by 2014, in large part because of skyrocketing pensions. He says in 2002, the city of Los Angeles paid $250 million into the city's pension fund. Last year, the pension price tag shot up to $1 billion, and by 2013, Rybalkova says the pension price tag in LA will soar to nearly $3 billion a year.
And we're going to be dealing with this mess and this problem for decades.
Maybe like they're dealing with it in Prichard, Alabama, where they've simply stopped paying pension checks to retirees. 66-year-old Alfred Arnold was Prichard's first black firefighter. He retired after 35 years as a captain. Today, he works as a security guard at a shopping mall to pay the bills.
And had that been for my job at the mall as a security officer, we probably couldn't even eat.
And his wife, Jackie, worked for the Prichard Police Department for 40 years. She was the city's first female officer. Her pension checks stopped arriving in the mail in September of 2009.
Well, I retired June of 2009. I received 2 pension checks and nothing after that. I said, we'll come up with something, but nothing ever happened.
No pension checks. They never thought it could happen in Prichard, Alabama.
Do you ever foresee that happening in Vallejo?
I can't say no. It's foreseeable in any city.
The reality is, it could happen in scores of cities across California, maybe even where you live. Runaway pension costs are stealing the very future of California's suburbs and cities, like Costa Mesa.
What we're dealing with here today is what every city in California is going to be dealing with at some point in the future.
Now, here's an example of just how much these pensions are costing that one city very dearly, Costa Mesa. To pay one police officer, they include salary, overtime, health care benefits, and retirement benefits. It costs that city palace $172,000 per year for just one officer. And up and down the state, city administrators I talked to said, look, we just can't afford this anymore.
No, like he said, it just comes down to basics. But the reality is the formula hasn't penciled out for a long time. We've known this.
Yes.
And it's taken a crisis in order to get people to actually pay attention.
That's right. It's been a ticking time bomb, and people have foreseen this for some time.
Yeah, but it takes a crisis to get action, and too bad now. It's almost too late.
It almost is too late. You're absolutely right, unfortunately.